Hello, this is Graham from letslearnthis.com again. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to look a bit more at strings. Now, we've printed some strings out in the previous lesson, but now we're going to look at a few things that might trip you up as you're trying to do it, and the solutions to them. So let's start by opening our Python idle GUI. Okay, and then we're going to start a new file to open the editor. Now, so we did things before, for example, like print Brian said leave me alone. Okay, if we run that, I have to save it first. And we call this tutorial 3. Okay, Brian said leave me alone. There we go, print it out. Now what if we wanted to put quotes around the words that Brian actually said? Well, let's give it a try. Okay, and now let's see what happens. Right, we get syntax error because the Python interpreter sees this quote here as the end of what it's trying to print, and then it sees some other stuff after it and gets confused. So how can we get around this? Well, luckily we've got an escape character we can use, which is a backslash. So if we put a backslash in front of these two quotes, the ones that we want to print out, and then run it again, F5 to run it, and now we see it works, and we've got our quotes in there and we don't see those backslashes because that's just us telling the interpreter that the next character is just to be printed, don't do anything with it. And so it sees that one as the start of what it needs to print and that one as the end of what it needs to print. Okay, so that's good, but what happens if we wanted to use something like let's print this is Brian's jacket. Okay, now this should hopefully work. Yeah, there we go. Because I like using double quotes, it sees this single quote as just something to be printed, but you can just use single quotes with Python and it does exactly the same thing there, but with our apostrophe in there now, if we try and run that, you see we get syntax error again because it doesn't like this single quote because it's seeing this one as the start of what it needs to print and this one as the end. So again, it's the same thing. We just use our backslash to escape the character. Oh, we want it in front there. And if we run that now, we'll see that it works. Okay, great. So what about if we wanted to have a new line in the middle of our text? So we could say, we'll use the single quotes again so we can use some more escapes. We could say, I'd like the word spam to be on a new, or to be on, let's say, its own line. Now, we haven't done anything to put that word spam on its own line, have we? So let's just run that and check. So here we get, I'd like the word spam to be on its own line. So now we need to put it on its own line. And that's quite easy. You just use another backslash and then the letter N. And then we do the same after the word. Let's try and run that now. Okay, and then we get the word spam on its own line. Now that's because the interpreter sees the \n in there, and it knows that it needs to start a new line every time it sees that. So it prints "I'd like the word" and then a new line, spam on its own line because we've got another new line here to be on its own line. And we use the escape characters here to get our single quotes into the words "I'd" and "it's." Okay, so there's some things that might trip you up. So go and have a play, see if you can make some of your own examples up using these kind of things, putting new lines in, use single quotes and double quotes, and just get comfortable with how it works so that these things stick in your mind. And I'll see you on the next tutorial. Thanks for joining me. Goodbye.